Right, so the Tomb Raider tier list. As you can see, I've got all the games here. I'm going to try and like group them. So these all pretty much play the same. This one is kind of a standalone. These play the same. These play the same. And then the new three play the same. So I don't want to be treading over old ground. Because I'm looking at gameplay, puzzles, enemies, combat, controls, story. I'm not going to put any spoilers just in case anybody does want to... play them. So it'll be like vague outlines of the story. Graphics, which I'm not comparing because it's not a fair comparison to compare this to this. It just isn't. And then music, sound effects, and voice acting. And then if I'd recommend it and what rank it goes in. So that's good fun. So I started playing Tomb Raider in September 2020 and finished in April 2022. Those that were in the stream know I took a little break because burnout is a bitch and it sucks if you get it. So I did take breaks in between, so I didn't play them all solid. But I think I know enough to rank them. The other thing I should add is some of the older ones I had to mod. So I'll mention if I had to mod them, if I remember. Because some of them I can't remember if I modded them or not. I think I modded all the old ones, but we'll see. I suppose we got to start with the OG Tomb Raider. Yeah, so because this is my opinion, your opinions will differ. It's fair. But if we're discussing it, don't give me the whole it's crap for no reason. I prefer things with an actual legit reason. Yeah, I played them all over 18 months solitaire, so I think I know whether it's a great game or a bad game. I'm pretty sure I'm qualified to put them in a box. Gameplay of this one is mainly platforming. There's a bit of combat. There's a bit of action, adventure, and puzzle solving. This kind of goes for all of these. These are all pretty much the same. So when I discuss these, I'll discuss any changes, but there's not really a whole lot of changes because they kind of all play the same. They kind of all control the same. So I'm not going to cover the ground that I have done. Puzzles in this game tend to be time-based. There's always, you have to pull a switch to go over to the door, to get through the door, and you have a time limit to do it. It's not exactly the most engaging, shall we say, of puzzles. But for the time, we've got to remember this was a time when I think this was one of the first 3D games, fully 3D games, if not the first. I remember it when it came out, but I don't remember the specifics. The only problem with this is, and this is where we move into the controls, the tank controls kind of let the like speed of getting through the door or the gate, because there's this weird, you can't describe the weird input lag unless you actually play it, but there's this slight bit of input lag which is present in all of these, and it puts a lot of people off. Yeah, it was 96 when this one came out. Oh, it feels old, man. Feels old, man. The controls for aiming is great because Lara's basically aimbot. You just pull your guns out, she locks onto it, and you can just shoot. So that makes things easy, which is really good. I don't think she ever misses. If she does miss, it's kind of because of long distance. Because Lara has aimbot, the enemies with guns have aimbot, and they don't miss at all. So it does make boss fighting not difficult, but you have to be aware that they don't miss, and you have to make sure you got plenty of health packs and stuff, which isn't hard. The game gives you abundance of health packs and stuff. True about the controls. I don't mind tank controls, so I enjoyed playing through these because I'm weird and it brings back nostalgia, and I'm just like, Zoomers, just play the game, just get good. Oh, it's not got independent mouse movement camera stuff, and I'm just like, just get good, scrubs. Just get good, kids. So the enemies in this game are basically animals. You'll find more animals than people, although the mini bosses are usually people. I don't want to spoil the enemies at the end of the game, but there's these unique enemies at the end of the game, which I don't think you're quite ready for. but they do make it really good. So the story of this one is Lara's hired by a person called Jacqueline Natler to find an artifact. I'm not going to tell you any more than that because I don't want to spoil it, but don't expect some sort of like epic saga because there's no real story to these games. It's just basically Lara, go find something. It's nice and simple. You don't have to worry about anything other than that. Graphics, yeah, it's early. Everybody knows this game not because of the graphics, but because of Lara's triangle bobs. Everybody knows that classic Tomb Raider. I remember playing through the series, and a streamer friend would say, "Is that the one with the triangle tits?" And then that's basically how people age the Tomb Raider games. Yeah, but everything's blocky as the engine at the beginning of the Tomb Raider series, the engine could only use squares, and they had to be like really creative when using to make like angles. So it's very blocky. But the thing is, all the environments do look different. So you'll know if you're in Greece, you'll know if you're in Egypt, you'll know if you're in another place, which I'm not going to mention because it's story related. But yeah, you'll see it. Music and sound effects and voice acting. Lara's voice acting is good. Everybody else is kind of sketchy. Not as bad as some of the others, but it is bordering a little bit cringy. But it's good fun. But the music adds to the game and helps with like the immersion and stuff and the tension. But if you're playing on PC, you need to mod it because it doesn't have, the PC version doesn't have music for whatever reason. Apparently that's a legit, it happened back in the day as well. So you need to mod it. I had to mod it for music, but also for controller support because it doesn't, the Steam version doesn't allow you to use controller support. And the keyboard, the default keyboard binds are terrible. But luckily, it's dead easy to mod. I'd never modded anything in my life. This was the first thing I ever modded, and it was dead easy. So if I can do it and you're desperate to play it, then it's really easy. So then lastly, do I recommend it? If you want to play the original Tomb Raider, if you played the reboot and wondered what original Tomb Raider was like, I recommend it, yes. A lot of boomers will recommend it, yes. Zoomers will probably go, it's too clunky. It's just terrible looking, but you've got to look past that. And you've got to experience it and remember that it was at the time when 3D gaming and also women leads weren't really a thing. You should experience that. Boomers, just go back and play it again. The nostalgia's real, but you've got to remember it also doesn't have save, so you've got to be saving it regularly. Else, the amount of times that I thought I don't need to save it and then died and then had to start again, GG's. I enjoyed this one. And it's not a secret to anybody that this is an S tier game. We all saw it coming. It's a legit S tier game. I'm not taking any shit on that one. It's an S tier game. Boomers will agree. Zoomers, you don't matter. I have spoken.
Think she can jump that? No way is she jumping that. No way. Fuck me, she leaped it! Holy crap! I know I said she had a variable jump, but holy crap, that was next level! Lara the Salmon Croft.
One thing I didn't mention was this is important for this game, and you'll understand why in a minute. This has a steady learning curve and difficulty curve. It introduces you to the traps, so like the boulders and the spike pits and the blades and stuff. But Tomb Raider 2 is balls to the wall straight from the off. You literally start you start the story as Lara's like, oh, I heard there's a legend about an artifact in China, and you start in the Great Wall of China. That's the only story you get for the opening. So again, not massive on story, but we don't care. It's Tomb Raider. We know pretty much the basics of Tomb Raider, that Lara's now got to find something. In terms of new aspects of the gameplay, it's basically the same, but Lara can do a few new things. She can actually climb up the side of a ledge, like up the wall. She can do a mid-air roll, and she can turn while swimming, which she couldn't turn while swimming in this one, which made some of the puzzles difficult. You had to get that pixel perfect timing right, whereas this one you got a little bit more forgiveness because you can turn around if you make an error. This one also introduced more weapons. There was the M16, the grenade launcher. She had her classic 2 pistols as well. So there was something new but also familiar. And it added vehicles. The boat in the Venice level and the snowmobile, which I don't know who thought the handling of the snowmobile was legit, but it's terrible. It can't handle to save its life. And it's worse the fact that this game still has tank controls. The controls are not updated, and it doesn't make the use of the vehicles better at all. Can we not use the snowmobile? What is this? Oh, we can! Haha! Now it's hot. Oh, God. Start the rave, chat! I don't know where we get this radio from, but absolute start the rave. This is terrible handling. Absolute power slides and everything. Oh, God. Oh, God, I'm going to fall off this. What is this? Oh, if I got... Whoa. If I got to make this jump. Let's go. Yeah! That was not what I thought. This thing is terrible. Why is this so funny? Because I'm trying my best to drive it, and I just can't. The puzzles in this game are basically the same. Pull the lever over here, get to the door over here, advance the level. Pretty much the same. Yes. The section of my notes on enemies is more men with guns, because this game was like we didn't have enough people with guns in this one. So we're going to put more people with guns in this one. And they have aimbot, remember? Because Lara doesn't have a way to independently control the camera, so she's just aimbotting. And they're aimbotting you as well. It's brutal. Like, no word of a lie. They're always in places where you can't see them, but they can see you. And they just start beaming you, and you're just like, oh, now I'm dead. But the thing is, if you manage to kill them, they'll drop a health pack, which you have to use straight away because they've done that much damage. It's just this forever unending loop of killing an enemy, healing, killing an enemy, and healing. Yeah. It teaches you that if you haven't played Tomb Raider, then Tomb Raider 2 is hard. If you have played Tomb Raider 2, if you have played Tomb Raider 2 is still hard, but just like instead of it being like an 11 out of 10 hardness, it's probably a 10 out of 10 hardness. Its difficulty spike, like I said, is balls to the wall straight off. You need to have played a little bit or know a little bit about Tomb Raider before you get into Tomb Raider 2. Combat is basically the same, like I said. Even though there are more weapons, but I stuck to using the pistols or the Uzis because the M16 just takes forever for Lara to pull out and shoot. It was just not good. Controls are tank controls again, so it makes killing the aimbot enemies just as hard, but there's more of them now, so again, 10 out of 10 hardness. Graphically, Lara looks loads better. She's got more curves and less triangles. She's definitely got less triangles. Oh yeah, she's got this one. Fun fact, Lara in the cutscenes in Tomb Raider 1 had a ponytail, but she didn't have a ponytail in the model because they couldn't get it to work. So this game, they upgraded it, and she actually has a ponytail that moves, which is cool. She has flares because there's dynamic lighting. which is revolutionary in this time period in 97, because this was out a year later. There's more different environments. So you've got the Great Wall of China, you've got Venice, there's the hills of Tibet. They all look good. Again, if you've played this one and then move on to this one, they do look better. But if you've played these three and then going back to this one, you'll be like, bruh, how did you play games back then? We didn't have a choice. Feels boom, man. Music's still good in this one. I don't remember modding this one for sound, but I might have done, because I remember modding it for two things, but I can't remember it. It might have been cutscenes. So you would need to check one of the Tomb Raider fan websites that has all the mods. I know I modded it for controller support. So the music's good. The sound effects, your standard sound effects, almost carbon copy from this one, but the voice acting in this one is terrible. There's a Geordie in this one, and it's awful. Or it's no, there's a Geordie in one of these. Now I'm thinking about it. I can't remember if it's this one. It might be this one. There is Italian people in this one, and it's terrible. It's so stereotypical, it's bad. It's not even so bad it's good. It's just plain bad.
Believe me, but it's not quite the same now, is it?
Someday you will get a speeding ticket.
This voice acting is so bad.
Hey, it's just a gut feeling that maybe you are wrong to look there.
Is your belief so fragile? Relax. Breathe deep. The gut, Fabio. It's no more direction than a simple through and
They just need the hands. Do I recommend this one? Yes. This is almost as iconic as this one. The levels are longer and some of them drag, but if you can push through them, you kind of forget about it pretty quick. Particularly the Opera House and then the Sunken Ship are a little bit confusing, but the levels are kind of linear, so there's not a whole lot to get lost with. They're just a bit long. That's the only thing. There's still no auto saves, but again, if you're on PC, you can just save it wherever you like, which is good. And that reminds me, I was watching specific Electra play this, and she'd never played any Tomb Raider game. And watching her try and A, grapple with the controls, B, trying to play the game having never played Tomb Raider, and the difficulty spike, I was like, yeah, if you've never played it, you're going to struggle. But if you have played it, again, the nostalgia is legit. It's also S tier. I think everybody thought it was going to be S tier because it is a legendary game. Both of them two are legendary. Holy fucking shit! This guy with the flamethrower. Tomb Raider 3. This came out a year after this one. So 96, 97, 98. It plays just the same, but this time the levels are even longer. The levels have more of an openness to them, so they're even bigger. Pretty much the same kind of enemies, animals, people with guns, but not as many people with guns. Because they were like, oh, this one was probably a bit too much, so they toned it down a little bit for this one. But you do have other obstacles, like there's quicksand, there's piranhas. Obviously, they instantly kill you. They added this poison mechanic, which was just terrible. It's just no, please don't. If you stay poisoned too long, the screen starts to like shake and just like you're tripping balls, and it's just not. At the time, it was probably all right, but if you look at newer games that have some sort of tripping psychedelicness to them, it's just bad. It's just not good. They tried to introduce stealth as well, but the tank controls make stealth really bad, which particularly is in the, I think it's the Russian level. You have to kill the chef. Well, not kill the chef. You have to get around the chef. Oh, yeah, the Geordie guy. That's funny. Oh, God, he's got a knife. Chat, bro. I ain't got no weapons. Crowbar him?
No.
No? All right. Flare in his face, then. Yeah, I probably shouldn't stand on the cooker, Lara. That's probably not the greatest of stealth moves, unless we set him on fire. But yeah, tank controls. Tank controls are back. They didn't even change them. Right, so combat is pretty much the same. Lara's got aimbot. Enemies have got aimbot. There's no independent movement of the camera in the controls. For Tith, you'll remember when I used the kayak and I was in the river and I tried to navigate down a hole, but the controls are so bad that I couldn't even navigate into the hole when the flow of the river was directing me in that direction. It was so bad. I can't even steer this thing. As long as everybody's safe me, it's fine. I'm guessing. See, I can't even steer it into the path that it's meant to be going in. I'm guessing we're going down there. And fall damage is a thing. Fall damage is a thing in a canoe. Oh, the swimming as well. Oh god, the swimming. Oh, I'm having bad flashbacks with the little submarine, the little one-person submarine. So, Tomb Raider suffers from this like invisible hand that grabs you. I don't know the best way to describe it, but you get too close to the wall and you'll just like stick on stuff. And the swimming in this game, they thought it was a good idea to put little like triangle gaps to try and fit through there. Cool for immersion and whatnot, but not good when there's just little things that Lara snags on. So you've got this big like one-person submarine that barely fits through the gap, and you're asking it to fit through a gap where there's snagging. It's just so bad. It actually ruined the swimming. If Toman was here, Toman would remember. I think I put Toman off gaming completely with that bit, just by that bit. Oh, the swimming, and then there's the London level. That's such bad level design. It was terrible. And that, and there was speaking of sound effects, I'm just going off on one now. I'm just remembering things. The sound effect for when you drain the water was just this weird, I don't even know what noise that was. I don't even know. Whoever came up with that noise, it's just so bad. And that's the problem with this game. The difficulty spike doesn't come from the actual gameplay. It comes from the levels just being horrifically designed. When devs come out and say, yeah, we had really bad level design, you just know it's rough. There's vehicles in it that are still janky, as you'd imagine. There's less gun enemies. The vehicle jankiness comes from the fact that there's very little room to maneuver. It's very like claustrophobic, the level design, because I feel like they tried to make areas narrower to save space to make the area bigger, and it's just no. Oh, the Antarctic level, they added cold water, which kind of changed things but didn't really make much of a difference. The final boss has a one-tap mechanic, which with imprecise tank controls does not make things easy. So yay. You don't have to have played these two to play this one, but it's going to be fucking hard because the levels are shit. The story-wise, though, there's less tombs and more outdoor areas to explore, which is kind of nice. I know people will be like, oh, Tomb Raider, it says the name on the tin, there needs to be tombs. There doesn't need to be tombs. You can explore the area around the tomb before you go into the tomb. But the story-wise, she's heard of another artifact, much like Tomb Raider 2. I think it's Infada artifact, and she decides to explore and look for it because Lara Croft is ultimately an archaeologist, apparently. Speaking of triangle boobs, Lara looks a lot better in this game. She's got even more polygons. She's got even more animations as well. So she can crouch, crawl, sprint and roll. Imagine. And she can like overhead bar and swing on vines, which is pretty cool. Again, it's got the dynamic lighting that Tomb Raider 2 had, which makes the branching level design less enjoyable because you don't know that it's there, because you struggle to see where it is, like London, because London took me forever. It's just, London is such a bad level design. I think everybody that's played Tomb Raider knows that. Oh yeah, this was the one where they upgraded the engine as well, so they added like triangle shapes as opposed to just straight up blocks. So it does look better than these two, but you'll not give a shit because the level design is just really bad. Do we have polygon counts for each game? No, but triangles, less triangles, even less triangles. Does that help? This game tends to not have a lot of music. It's a lot of ambient sounds, which adds to the immersion. It's quite immersive. It's just level design is terrible. The level design lets it down so much. The voice acting is worse than Tomb Raider 2, which is outrageous to think that it's worse than Tomb Raider 2.
Russian.
Forget, Mikhailov. I am still an admiral of the Russian Navy, and as such, demand respect.
While you accept my bribes for use of the submarine, you are under my employ and will follow my instructions without complaint.
And then I mentioned the sound effects for the draining water, which I don't even know what that sound is. I don't even know how they made that sound, but I'll add it in on the YouTube cut somewhere so you can all rejoice in its terribleness. I agree with me. Whoever made that noise, what? Good old Tegs. And because it looks better, it's going in S tier. No, it's not going in S tier. Sorry, Tegs. The reason it's not going in S tier is Steam told me this game took me 40 hours. The game told me it took me 20 hours. I spent half my time lost. I can't believe that was... If I wasn't streaming, I would have binned it off. Everybody told me to bin it off. Just like, no, if you're not enjoying it, don't play it. And I'm like, no. In this house, I finished my dinner. And I wish I hadn't started it, to be fair. It's just so bad. Casual gamer, no. Do not play this game as a casual gamer. If you're stupid like I am and playing the whole series, you have to. You legit have to. If I could put this down here in some sort of bollocks shit rank, I would. But unfortunately, it's got to go in F because that's my lowest rank. And there we go. I've said my piece and I'm moving on. Oh my god, I missed. I was so like, oh, this is gonna make it.